So in this video, I want to tell you texting mistakes that is killing attraction almost instantly. Guys, you need to realize that you're going to have something called perceived value after you meet a woman, whether it be on dating apps or on Instagram, or even after you get her number after you have cold approached her. If you lower that perceived value, it doesn't matter how handsome or attractive she thinks you are, she will inevitably end up flaking on that date or viewing you as this beta male, simp boy, weak man who she actually wants nothing to do with, all right? And oddly enough, I work with quite a few handsome guys in my coaching program, and a lot of them still make this mistake, all right? So let's go through it right now. Take your notes, subscribe, let's get into it. All right, the first mistake is asking too many questions in a row, specifically asking more than 3 questions in a row. Now, a lot of guys feel like they need to do this because the woman isn't giving a lot to work with. Maybe that's you trying to lead and stir the conversation, try to give some more input. However, the reason why this is so unattractive is because it comes off like an interviewer. You're coming off like you have nothing to say. And whenever a woman reads these questions, all she is thinking to herself, wow, this guy actually is quite boring. This, is not interesting whatsoever. And so there are actually a few tactical ways to fix this. And keep in mind, this doesn't only happen through text, but this happens a lot on dates in itself. So even though we are talking about a texting format, do realize that you can actually apply these things to in real life too. So my first framework that I love to follow that helps me out a lot is 2 questions, 1 statement. Why? Because this helps us actually get more investment from her. The reason why you keep asking questions probably is because she simply isn't investing in the conversation, which in itself is a deeper rooted problem, probably a lack of attraction, or let's be real, a lot of women just are horrible texters, they're horrible communicators when it comes to text. And so this strategy allows you to get more investment from her. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna ask a question, she's gonna reply, you're gonna give your statement back, ask a question, and then after she answers that question, you're simply just gonna leave with a statement. That's it. You're not gonna ask a question back. This is super important because now it gives her a chance to ask you a question. And this is especially important for women who never ask questions in conversations, because if we think about the context of a conversation in itself, what is it? It's a series of questions and statements. That's it. The person who is simply asking the questions is leading the conversation. And the person who is answering, if they're just giving statements, they feel like they're being interviewed. So what this does is allow her to actually ask you a question back, but also test her interest. Because if this woman actually isn't attracted to you, or if she actually isn't invested in the conversation in itself and is just messaging you for free attention, we're now throwing a test at her to see if she can ask a question back. And guess what? If she ends up not replying, or she just gives a statement back, that will tell you everything you need to know. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little trick here as a bonus. When it comes to asking questions, you don't wanna use punctuation. You can use punctuation actually for maybe the first question or second question, but if you feel like you're asking too many questions in a row, just remove the punctuation. So remove the question mark. Just don't use it. And because this is text, the way she reads it, she will still be able to identify that this is a question, but it won't come off like it's multiple questions back to back. It's a little psychology hack that I like to use occasionally when needed. So just add that in your toolbox. Now, the next texting mistake is simply mindless conversation with no purpose. You guys gotta realize, especially if you have not met this woman yet, the only purpose of the conversation should be setting up the date, leading towards the date, logistical stuff, trying to figure out her schedule, trying to see when she's available, or even just building rapport. And that only happens at the beginning stages. However, after all of that, if you're just texting her as a check-in, having mindless conversation throughout the day, especially what are you doing, or what are you up to, or what are you doing tonight, but you're not trying to make plans on the back end of that, that positions you as low value, because why are you even curious about what she's doing? Why are you not texting her with intention and purpose? Do you have nothing else going on in your life? Do you not have other women you could potentially see or meet up with? Are you so interested in me that you're just curious about what I got going on in my day? No. Have intention with your text conversation always. Even if you're not necessarily setting up the date yet, let's say you've seen her a few times, you still don't want to text mindlessly. Now, the caveat to this is if she texts you mindlessly, that's fine. you can text back. I still suggest that you take your time with it. But if you're the one who's always checking in on her, trying to figure out what she's up to, just kind of bored throughout the day, don't do that. Also, mistake number 3, and this kind of ties into the second one, is from the fact that you're always the initiator. If you guys don't talk, she ain't hitting you up. If you don't text her first, you guys won't speak. How many times have you been in a situation like that? Once again, this lowers your perceived value. And in some cases, you'll have to bite the bullet. Because Austin, if I don't text her, we actually won't talk. So be it. Fine, is what it is. Now, I think this is more important once you have actually met her a handful of times. If she's in a state where she can absolutely never initiate conversation, then cut your losses, is what it is. Because the fact that assuming you already had sex with her, assuming that you've taken her out on multiple dates and showed her a good time, and I still have to chase you, I still have to pursue you just for some conversation to set up the other one, that shows me that you didn't appreciate what we've done so far, and or you just simply don't like me. As simple as that. Never consistently be the initiator. Once again, more important after you have seen her a handful of times, I would say at least minimum 3 times. If she cannot initiate a good morning or ask you what are you up to for the day, or send you a story, or send you something on TikTok, wherever it may be, try to initiate some conversation with you, that in itself is a red flag. And that's why some guys say I'm crazy for it. But after the first date, if she does not initiate contact, I am not seeing her again. And I made that discovery a while ago because I realized all the women who I actually liked and I kept in my life, almost always they hit me up after the first date. Hey, I had a great time. Next day, hey, good morning. I had a great time last night. You know, we should see each other again, whatever it may be. Now, mistake number 4, I want you to take a look at your text between you and her. Take a look at how big her paragraph texts are or how big her texts are versus how big yours are. And we might notice something here that you probably weren't realizing. And that is from the fact that you are over investing and over explaining. What do I mean by this? She's giving you statements that are very short. She's getting to the point. You're giving a lot of context, a lot of descriptions, using a lot of characters just to explain your point. And once again, lowers your perceived value because you're now over investing than her. These are so subconscious and nuanced things that most guys don't even realize. But from a psychological standpoint, she is noticing that. You know, if her texts are like this every time and you're sending blocks of texts, who's more invested in whom? Who is more interested in who? It's simply shown through the characters and what you're typing. So a solution here is to simply do not respond to everything she has mentioned. So I was working with a guy a few weeks ago and I was checking his texts. We were working one-on-one, and what I realized is that he was over investing because whatever questions she asked, he was replying to every single one with a lot of context. And what I told him is, listen, when it comes to text, especially with women, you do not have to reply to everything. Maybe make a statement towards one of her questions, but reply to the main idea or thing you want to have the conversation about and ignore everything else. Ignore it. And once he did that, he realized that, wow, through this simple strategy, I can actually stop over investing, and it actually works. Also, you just have to learn how to say more with less. I guarantee you there is a way to right now, you can say exactly what you want to say in probably less than 15 words or in one sentence. For you guys who probably haven't, practiced this or even studied this to any degree, you might find yourself like, paragraphs and sentences. But truth is, you can say what you're saying now in a few short amount of words. And use artificial intelligence if you have to, if you need to learn and train this idea into yourself. But before you press send, ask yourself, is there a way that I can say this in less words? Am I responding to every question with a lot of context, or can I shorten this down? Actually pay attention. So at number 5, we have overly expressive. Now, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this because this has been beaten to death, and hopefully you guys should know by now, you should not be super expressive. When I say expressive, I'm talking about the use of emojis, a lot of punctuation, especially exclamation points, showing too much excitement and overall enthusiasm. You might think, I need to show how interested I am. I need to make sure my texts don't come off dry. No, though she might like it in the moment and she might feel more of a connection, it also comes with a loss of respect and the ability to then disrespect you because of that loss of respect, but also your interest levels are clearly shown, they're revealed. And in some cases, that will subconsciously make her lose attraction and interest. So the easiest way to fix this is to simply be less expressive. Only use a handful of emojis. And I always say just use the flirting emojis. So you can use the smiley face, the old school smiley face, dot dot smiley. You can use the winky one, or you can use the smirk emoji. That's about it. Anything else, just simply avoid it. And once you make that small change, you realize how more masculine you come off through the text and how much more she actually respects you. It simply works, all right? So try out all these 5 things. And if you guys want my free ebook where I actually go over some of these concepts in a deeper layer and also teach you and show you ways of how you can keep the conversation exciting and always going, be sure to download my free text guide. I call it Text God, Text G-O-D, because you become the master of all the conversational realms when it comes to text. You can use this in any context: Instagram, date setup, dating apps, cold approach, then text. It literally doesn't matter. I'm on a mission to make you guys conversation masters. So I'll leave the free link down below in the description, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.